want to welcome back onto the American Dream Nina Bhanot. She is a top 20 RE/MAX realtor in Texas with RE/MAX Premier Group. Nina, thank you so much for being back on the show. Great to see you again.
Hi, Jen. Great to see you. We've kind of talked in the past that buying and selling real estate can be one of the most financial tasking activities that an individual can take. And it's really important that, you have your financial goals and needs in perspective. So I would like to introduce Mary Lyons, the wealth woman. She's an acclaimed financial advisor that is great at what she does. And she actually also used to be a lender, and she also has her own real estate portfolio. So she brings a really unique, different perspective to the discussion. And she really tries to take somebody's visions, put them in perspective with their financial goals, and really tries to help achieve them.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show. I'm excited to be able to offer some insight.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being here, Mary. So based on your background and experiences working with the same kind of clients, what do you see that are some of the most common watch-outs or mistakes that people are making?
Yeah, I think the number one mistake I see when people are buying homes is that they buy too much house, and I can give you an example of that. I would say it's a great example, but the outcome of the story was certainly not great. I had met a gentleman who was a young gentleman, was working for a builder, and he was making probably about $120,000 a year. He had purchased a house at the very top end of what he could afford, somewhere between $350,000 and $400,000. And when the financial crisis hit, he lost his job and really wasn't qualified to do anything other than sell homes or find a job in sales. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to find another job making what he had been making previously. And the house ended up going into foreclosure, and I had to help walk him through even a bankruptcy because of some of the things that happened because of that. So buying too much house is always a problem.
Yeah, a lot of time when I'm working with my clients, I counsel them and say, just because you're pre-approved for a certain amount doesn't mean you should be purchasing to that price point, because you really need to take into account, the costs that go with home ownership. So whether it's utilities, home insurance, or increasing property taxes, you want to look at the big picture, and your financial advisor can usually help you do that as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that that's a great point. I mean, having a good inspector or a team of professionals helping you along the way seems critically important to help minimize some of those unexpected challenges and changes that might come up.
Well, I think the second thing that really helps with that is making sure that you have a really good inspector, because there are always unexpected expenses whenever you're looking at a house. Things come up. Another example of that, this is actually a personal story. I was working with a realtor prior to having met Nina, and it was the day before closing, and I walked into the house to do the final look through, and there was a spot on the floor that looked a little interesting to me, and the realtor had told me that it was just a spot where the stain was drying because they had restained part of the floor, and it turned out it was actually a water leak in the foundation. So unexpected expenses happen all the time, and working with a realtor who takes care of you and is really looking towards your best interest becomes incredibly important.
So Nina, could you give us an example of how working with a financial advisor really helps us during this real estate process and really helps protect our best interest?
Yeah, a lot of times I do have clients who meet with their financial advisor before purchasing a house or when they're starting to think about it. But unfortunately, a lot of buyers don't do that. And I think, the dream of achieving home ownership is really possible. You can leverage the assets you have. And when you start talking with Mary, you really try and understand that there's different financial strategies and tools in place that exist for buyers and sellers to really make that happen. Maybe, Mary, you can mention some of the
Sure.
things?
So I've seen buyers do all kinds of things. One of the things that I think is great for first-time home buyers is that you can actually tap into your IRA if you need to for up to $10,000, and you can take that money out and you don't have to pay penalties on it. So that's a nice perk of having saved that some people are unaware of. I've also seen people take a loan from a 401k to come up with a down payment, or a loan against a permanent insurance policy. So there are options for down payment other than just having cash on hand.
Sure. And Nina, for you, if someone's watching and they want to reach out or they want to learn a little bit more about that process, what do you advise them to do?
Yeah, I think, you can always reach out to myself, reach out to Mary. We'd love to help you out, but, keep in mind, reach out to the professionals that surround you. You really want to have professionals who are proactively putting you in the best position so that you can make the most informed decisions. I think really that's what's most important whenever you try and do any kind of decision when it comes to buying or selling or just financial planning for your life in different life stages.
Sure, your team matters and who you surround yourself with matters.
Exactly.
Well, ladies, that's why we surround ourselves with you two. You two are some of the best in the business, and we really appreciate you being on with us today and sharing this insight.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And we will be right back with more of The American Dream.